Good evening. My name is DIGNA Ochoa. I'm not here to give testimony. Testimony is for a court of law where there's some hope of justice. But I will tell you this. One day in late October 2001, men broke into my office in Mexico City. I'd had a long career in human rights law. Well, a long career. I was 37, but it felt long. I had set up a private practice. It was just my second day in that new office. I was there alone. Maybe the men were hoping that the church bells ringing noon would disguise the noise of their feet as they mounted the stairs. I heard the footsteps. 2 men. 3. Heavy steps on the stairs coming up from the courtyard. What happened next? You can guess, I bet. You know from your movies? High noon at the law office of DIGNA Ochoa. Only there were no horses. Guns? Yes. I reached in my purse for mine. It was a new gun. A tiny little gun, as your Nancy Reagan would say. I wasn't even sure it would work. I held it behind my leg. I was glad I had locked the door. It was a good door, solid wood, sturdy. They had a key. They threw me against the couch. One of the men fired point blank into my thigh. I'm not going to give testimony. The details have filled 40,000 pages of police reports. The details have obscured the larger point. Not how I died, but why. This is what I'm going to talk to you about. Resistance. There are people who say I should have known what was coming. I had gotten death threats. I should have left the country. I had already done that. I had gone into exile once. This time when the threats came, I stayed. Worse than that. The trip I took that last month of my life was to a place of greater danger. Mexico's most violent state. I went to Guerrero. It's where the students were from. You know the 43 who were disappeared? Why were they disappeared? For the same reason I was killed. We'll get to that. You don't hear much about this, right? You hear about the French resistance, but challenging present-day power, that's called by other names. Stupidity, recklessness, suicide. All of those names have been applied to my choices. Names. Names have a lot of power. You know this, right? Naming me DIGNA. Worthy. That's what my name means. My mother threw down the gauntlet. Worthy or not worthy? I couldn't introduce myself without raising the question and giving an answer. What a name. I would sometimes sweep into the office and say, aquí está DIGNA, dignata, dignísima, which would be something like, worthy has arrived, worthy to the max, worthy as all, get out. I don't suppose you use those expressions anymore. I'm a bit out of date. Vencida, we say in Spanish, like old rice on the shelf. Not me, the phrases. I'm just what you'd call dead. Worthy of what? I asked my mother once. She was peeling an onion at the sink. I was maybe 7. She put her wet hands on my shoulders. Worthy in the eyes of God. Worthy as anyone who has ever lived. Worthy of what? I asked. Of life, of love. As I got older, I understood her insistence. We were indigenous. My grandmother spoke the language that belonged to the people of Veracruz for thousands of years. It wasn't so highly regarded. A German friend of mine visiting a doctor was complimented on his command of Spanish. "That's rare here," said the doctor, "being bilingual." "Many of the indigenous are bilingual," my friend pointed. "They speak Spanish and they speak their native languages." "They speak Spanish," said the doctor, "and they speak shit." Naming. Renaming. Step 1. I don't want to overwhelm you with detail. I don't want to be like an old person, ringing your ear with trivia from the past. I'll omit a good bit. Testimony isn't appropriate here. There won't be any justice in my case. That ship has sailed. That ship has sunk. But I am going to use my life as an example so you can see what resistance looks like. I was Smokey the Bear. Bear with me for a moment. I love English. Now, imagine a scenario in which Smokey the Bear is killed in a forest fire. Just picture it. Would you say, what was he doing in the forest? He knew there were fires there. He must have had a death wish. No, you wouldn't say that. Smokey Bear's whole reason for being is to put out fires. He goes to where they are.